Hi, I am Dr. Jacob Lauritzen, and this is Read, Write, and Cite, the channel where I teach you how to read, write, and cite for your college classes. And this video is part of a series on grammar, specifically the parts of speech. So we're talking about adverbs. Okay, now this is something maybe you've heard about, but you've been confused about in the past, and for good reason. Adverbs do a lot of different things, and so it can be confusing what an adverb is, what it does, and how to recognize one in the first place. So we're going to talk about it. Adverbs, like adjectives, are modifiers. Their job is to describe or add clarity to other words and phrases in a sentence. See, adjectives, they have one job. Their job is to modify nouns. Adverbs are the words that are used to describe anything else in the sentence, okay? So it can describe another adverb, a verb, an adjective. It can describe a group of words as a phrase or even as a clause. Anything that can be modified, either as one word or a group of words, that's not a noun, it's gonna be modified by an adverb. So, they can show up just about anywhere in a sentence. Let me explain. Okay, so let's say we've got a subject and a predicate for our sentence. The subject is going to have a noun that the sentence is about, and a predicate with the verb that's describing what the noun is doing. Okay? Because you can have an adverb can describe an adjective, and an adjective can describe the noun, you can have an adverb in a subject. Because an adverb can describe a verb, you can have an adverb in the predicate. It can show up anywhere in the sentence. It can be immediately in front of a word or a group of words that it's describing. It could be immediately after it. You can see how this can be kind of confusing. In fact, one of the problems that we have with modifiers is when they're out of place or not clearly associated with what they're describing, they can be called a dangling or a misplaced modifier. And that is a problem that we want to avoid. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of adverbs. And based on the specific situation, what it's describing is going to tell you whether it goes in front of the word or after the word, whether it has an ly at the end or not. It's too much to explain in one video, but I just want to make this point. Adverbs are modifiers that describe just about everything in a sentence except for nouns. That job is reserved for adjectives. So, if a word feels like it's out of place, or you can tell it's describing something, look at what it's describing. And if it's not a noun, you've got a pretty good idea it's going to be an adverb. Now, what does that do for you? Well, it's going to help you understand what function it's serving in the sentence. Let's say I'm describing a verb. Verb can be an action or a state of being. And if it's an action and I'm describing it, I'm describing how the action is being performed. This is one reason why we often get ly at the end of adverbs. So let's say someone is walking. And I want to talk about the sound. I may say walking quietly. Quiet by itself is going to be an adjective. It can describe something. But if we're describing an action, I'm going to add ly to the end of it, and it's going to become quietly. Someone could be walking quietly. In this case, it made sense to stick it at the end. Depending on what's being modified, it may be in front, it might be later, it may have ly, it may not. Not every adverb ends in ly. In fact, one kind of common example that people who are really strict about grammar might bring up is if you ask someone how they're doing. A lot of people, when they're asked how they're doing, they say, I'm good. And it's not wrong, right? But they're not asking for you to describe a noun. They're asking you to describe an action, doing, which requires an adverb. good is an adjective, so good is not the grammatically correct response. But we might say something like, well. I'm doing well. Now that's a really nitty-gritty thing, but it explains why it might be different. Sometimes it may be appropriate to use an adjective. Sometimes it may be appropriate to use an adverb. But it depends on what it is you're describing or modifying. If you're describing or modifying a verb, it has to be an adverb. I hope that helped to clear things up and help kind of specify what adverbs do. This video didn't try to tackle everything that an adverb is or could be, but kind of hit the big ideas and give you an idea for how to recognize it in a sentence. It could be just about anywhere, but by looking at what it does, you can figure out what it is. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Jacob Lauritzen. This is Read, Write, and Cite. If you found this video useful, please like it and share it with someone that you think it could help. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.